What's going on, everyone? So Austin Reaves has been spectacular, right? And thus far, he has been very consistent. That's been my biggest key, particularly shooting the basketball. Now, I was very critical of Austin Reaves, but his shooting, right? Talked about it. I have people that just read the headlines and go like, and assume that they know what I talked about. But no, my biggest gripe with Austin Reaves is his poor shooting basically the last year and some change. And you've seen these last few games what his shooting can impact the overall team plus him as a productive player, because it opens everything up for him and it opens everything up for his team, because now he can be more aggressive, attack closeouts, right? He can hit shots, he can do a little step back and knock it down, right? Like it makes things so much easier. And now he can put himself in advantage positions far more easily than when he's 0 of 5 and teams are kind of like, okay, like we'll take our chances until he starts heating up, right? When he is cooking, he can now operate, get into the teeth of the defense, right? Put a guy on his hip. And then you see him kind of making plays and doing that stuff. He has really thrived under JJ Redick. And things that I talked about even in preseason, even with my criticisms of his shooting, I talked about defensively, he's been fantastic, right? This is the difference. This is how you know who actually watched the videos and don't, because he has been fantastic defensively. I've also talked about his rebounding has been much improved and much better. I mean, dude's been rebounding with the best of them. Love to see it. And he's been much more fluid under this offense, and particularly making plays. I still don't trust Austin Reaves as a playmaker, and you've seen him kind of get a little turnover happy at times. However, given the offense and the style of offense in which JJ Redick has this team playing and running, you don't need that Chris Paul level-esque play that's just doing everything. You even see LeBron buying in and doing his best version of just like playing within the offense. And JJ Redick has given him, leeway, and he's been aggressive at times, and Anthony Davis and stuff. And you've seen at times D'Lo, his playmaking ability really get things going. And it's nice. It's great to see when D'Lo is able to kind of be free out there and really get other guys going, especially when his shot isn't falling. However, D'Lo is the odd man out. D'Lo is the guy that even he could average 38 and 8 the rest of the way, and I still think the Lakers would trade him. Talked about it all offseason, right? And all of the consistent reports and rumors and everything are all D'Lo's going to be traded at some point. Because one, he's an expiring contract, and two, he is a redundancy alongside Austin Reaves, particularly the way Austin Reaves is playing. The biggest concern, though, is like if you trade D'Lo and somebody like a Gabe Vincent, not that like, oh no, the sky is falling, like you traded those two, now what? No, you're obviously trading those guys to get an upgrade, get a piece that makes sense. But it's like, okay, if you trade for, a Cam Johnson or a Jeremy Grant, right, or a Zach LaVine or something, how do you supplement the playmaking? How do you offset the point guard position if you traded all of your point guards? That's why Austin Reaves and him showing his ability to operate this style of offense, I believe you can get away with Austin Reaves slotted to the point. Also, his defense. He's defending guards and point guards on a nightly basis right now. So he's shown you the defensive ability, and he's showing you that he can make plays. I still don't trust him as like, here's the ball, go make stuff happen, right? He still doesn't see the floor great at times, but with this offense, he just needs to be able to handle the basics. He needs to be able to be the swing man, throw the lob, right? Find the cutter, call for the screen, run the pick and roll action, right? Like he doesn't need to be this like, Jason Kidd-esque type point guard where he's having to break down and analyze and see things and predict things before it happens. He just needs to play within the flow of the offense. You just need an initiator to initiate the offense and get everything going, right? Because it's it's about ball movement rather than an individual making those plays. So even if you were to get like a Zach LaVine, he's more than capable of doing the same thing and being the initiator. You just need an initiator to kind of get things going. And if you ever do need a default to like, hey, we just need to give a guy a ball to go make a play, have LeBron James on our roster, right? So you can always just default to this guy behind me and just go, here's the basketball, go make something happen, right? So I'm growing more increasingly confident in Austin Reaves. Still want to see a little more consistency, right? We're only a handful of games in. Also, I want to make sure he continues to keep the turnovers low, right? Last game against Phoenix, even though they lost, he did a good job of taking care of the basketball. He didn't have, 8 turnovers, 7 turnovers, right? If he can continue to obviously turnovers happen, it's fine. I'm not saying like he has to have a goose egg in the turnover department every game. No, nothing like that. But you need to keep it minimal, right? At least a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, ideally a 3-to-1, to where, if you're given 9 assists, you only have 3 turnovers. But if he's like 6 assists with like 2 turnovers, maybe 3 turnovers on like a bad night, then perfect. That's great, right? But the point is that it makes trading Gabe Vincent, D'Lo, even if you needed to, like a Max Christie, things like that, it makes it easier to trade those guys to go get the other pieces you need. And like, look, maybe the answer, because Rui has been so good thus far this season, and if he can continue to maintain that, maybe he might just be too good for you to trade. Right? He might just be too productive for you to trade, but you need some defense in that lineup. So maybe you're turning D'Lo into like a Bruce Brown. And so Bruce Brown is another guy that can initiate the offense, that can play within the offense, right? So that might be fun. And then for the bench unit, like you just kind of scatter Bruce Brown and Reeves the rest of the game. So you always have one of them on the court to where you always have that guy that can initiate. Again, LeBron can initiate if need be. You have guys like Dalton Connect has the ball, he could do it, right? Like I think you'd be fine. Ideally, you want somebody that you trust, particularly come playoff time. Right, but Austin Reaves, he's probably going to have the ball in his hands more times than not anyway. Right, and it's just, again, like we saw last year, him having to create and be a playmaker, he just wasn't good at it last year. Right? He had entire units that he was running by himself without D'Lo, without LeBron. He was the sole playmaker. It was like, go make something happen. And it was terrible. Like the Lakers were atrocious in those minutes, right? Now, when he was the secondary play, when he had a D'Lo that was able to wheel and deal, and then Reeves was kind of, again, that secondary playmaker, that swing man, or he was alongside LeBron where, if he needed to, he could just default to LeBron. LeBron could bring the ball up, whatever, that. But Reeves struggled with ball pressure, right? He gets tunnel vision at times. Right? There's things about him that you don't want him being that Chris Paul-esque playmaker type. But as that, which nowadays most guards are that anyway, the combo guard, they're really more like SGA, Ja, guys like that. They're more of a 2 than they are a traditional point guard. Right? They're Derrick Rose-esque rather than like a Chris Paul, Darren Williams type. Right, so Austin Reaves fits the mold of what you need him to be in that stretch. If you were to trade a D'Lo, Gabe Vincent, if you were to unload these guys, and it's like, okay, well, in the offseason, we talked about it, made videos about it, we dove into it, right? Like Austin Reaves, can he slide over to the point? And I talked about how, I do believe, given the type of offense that JJ Redick wants to run, that Austin Reaves would be capable of doing so, that Austin Reaves could fill that role as the initiator, right? But it's one thing to talk about it in concept, talk about it in theory, and then to actually see it play out in real time and now have that comfortability. Because again, I was under the assumption that he'd be able to do it, right? Because again, I don't need him to be this wheel and deal type guy. I need him to be Austin Reaves. Be aggressive, get into the teeth of the defense, look for your thing, but if you scan and you see that, because there's a lot more play, Under Darvin Ham, there's not the player movement, right? Guys are just standing. So he has to create and then draw the defense and, basically put guys where they need to go, rather than with JJ Redick's offense, guys are naturally going where they need to go without Reeves having to be that orchestra, right? Or whatever the guy, the guy with the wand, right? Like, he doesn't have to be that. He just has to be able to, when that guy makes the cut, see that and feed it, rather than like, I'm cutting, give you the signal to cut while I'm mid, or your defender comes and now you're cutting and I'm seeing that and I'm throwing the pass before you get the. It's so much easier for him. So now seeing it and seeing that he is thriving in it gives me a lot more confidence to like, yes. Again, D'Lo, I said it also, he's going to get traded regardless. I would be very surprised if he's on this roster come, trade deadline, February. But it was like, okay, could we get away? Do we need to get another point guard? I think with Reeves, I still think you're going to need another, depending on, again, if you get like a Zach LaVine or something, I think you'd be fine, or a Bruce Brown or something like that. But if you were to get like, say, a Jeremy Grant and a Walker Kessler, then I do think you need somebody else. Maybe Quincy Olivari or somebody can kind of fill in that hole for you. We'll see. But, I just think as far as your starting unit goes, I think Austin Reaves has shown he can handle it. He can do it, which is good. It's a very good sign for the Lakers because, again, I talked about I believe he could do it. I thought it could work. But it's one thing to kind of speak about it without actually seeing it, and then now we actually see it, and it's like, okay, it clearly can work. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Do you disagree with my points? You kind of mixed in the middle. Do you think like, I still need to see more games and need to see more sample size, which would be fair. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.